Hi, everybody. How are you doing? My name is Freddie, and there was a case that was decided on this year back in March 17th, 2026. And the case number is, or the it's Firearms Policy Coalition, Inc. versus Pamela Bondi. And I was watching some different YouTube channels. Jared at Guns and Gadgets and a couple of others. And never did get an answer on whether it was legal to carry in a post office. And I'm here to answer that question, because obviously he did not. And a few other YouTube creators did not. Number one, the plaintiff's attorneys and the Firearms Policy Coalition did not seek a class action lawsuit, which would bring everyone in Texas into every law-abiding citizen, I would say 18 years or older, but the 18 to 20-year-olds carrying handguns is still working itself through the circuit courts. So, I'm going to say 21 years and older until the United States gets off their rump and makes a decision on 18 to 20-year-olds' constitutional right to carry, to buy handguns from an FFL. I misspoke. To buy handguns from an FFL dealer. And until they get off their rump and make a decision about that, and it's also working its way through the circuit court system, then we won't have an answer to that legal question. But the legal question before us today is the carrying in a post office. Freddie, we heard from different YouTube videos saying that we can carry in a post office. Can we carry in a post office? Well, I will answer that right now. So, as it pertains to Firearms Policy Coalition versus Pamela Bondi, based on the foregoing, the court grants in part defendant's motion and clarifies its order and final judgment as follows. The permanent injunction as set forth in the court's order, ECF number 35, and final judgment, ECF number 36, applies to the plaintiffs and all present and future members of Firearms Policy Coalition and the Second Amendment Foundation. So if you are not a member of the Firearms Policy Coalition, Inc., and the Second Amendment Foundation, you do not have a right to carry in a post office. Let me see here. The federal government filed a motion to voluntarily dismiss appeal to the entire Fifth Circuit. And the entire Fifth Circuit entails Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Texas. If that is incorrect, it is Texas and Louisiana on the Fifth Circuit. So, there it is. The notice to voluntarily dismiss the appeal. Judge O'Connor said this. She said, "It is hard to envision that the founders would countenance banning firearms in the post office, particularly because they did not do so themselves." Well, if we're talking about the Bruin test that was laid forth by the highest court in the land in 2022, If it's at the time of the founding pertaining to firearms and there was no regulation, widespread regulation, then the regulation to postal carry did not drop until 1972, well after the founding of this country. Therefore, it's unconstitutional, and it should have been brought in as a class action. Shame on Firearms Policy Coalition. Shame on the Second Amendment Foundation for not making it a class action lawsuit. Because it was the plaintiff's attorneys and the Second Amendment Foundation and the Firearms Policy Coalition's attorneys that did not bring it in as a class action. I will say that again. It was the plaintiff's attorneys and the Firearms Policy Coalition and in the Second Amendment Foundation that didn't fight and put it down as a class action. So, if you're not in the club, if you're not in the group known as Firearms Policy Coalition or the Second Amendment Foundation, you do not get to carry in a post office. See, Jared at Guns and Gadgets, was that so hard? No, it wasn't. Right here, the government asserts that the court's injunctive relief should be limited only to the individuals who are members of Firearms Policy Coalition and the Second Amendment Foundation. And when you scroll to the order, the judge agreed. There it is. Judge Reed O'Connor. So, but even this, look at this. As unconstitutional, see, 39 CFR 232.1 and 18 USC at 930A as unconstitutional under the Second Amendment with respect to the plaintiffs and their members. Possession and carrying of firearms inside of an ordinary United States post office or the surrounding post office property. If you're a member of the general public who's 21 years of age and older, and you either have your LTC or you don't have your LTC because Texas is constitutional carry, guess what? You cannot carry in a post office unless you are a member of Firearms Policy Coalition or the Second Amendment Foundation, according to Chief United States District Judge out of Fort Worth, Reed O'Connor.